What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be talking about some of the oldest handguns that I own and what I like about them, and also do I get use out of them, because actually my favorite handgun and go-to carry gun is a handgun that was released 30 years ago, which is pretty interesting considering all the new releases and how amazing the firearms that are coming out today are, but yet I still carry it. But one thing I wanted to point out is this right here. Now I make no money off of this, zero. But this is from a veteran-owned company called Van Buren Woodcraft. They are on Etsy. Let me say that again. Van Buren Woodcraft on Etsy. Now check this out. This just mounted up on the wall. It matches all my stuff perfectly. This is literally just going to go on the wall right there. It could go on the wall in the hallway, you know, a wall anywhere, right? It just looks like an American flag. But what's cool is this isn't the key for it. It's the starter key. After that, you program these keys so other family members like my wife can have them, but of course the kids can't have them. Or you can do little tags here. They send you a couple tags to go along with it. They send two, and you just program it when you get to it. Now what's cool about it is you put this card here and you open it up. So yes, that, you scan that and it opens up. On top of that, it comes with a light, which is really nice. So the second you open up, the light turns on. I didn't put batteries in it yet. This is clearly not set up as I haven't programmed my keys and all that. But I just wanted to point out to you guys, actually you can see right there, Van Buren Woodcraft. See that? I just wanted to show you guys this because it's a really, really cool firearm safe, right? And on top of that, it comes with these little mounts, and you just put them in the holes, and then you can mount a handgun in there. So literally people will walk by it, not even recognize what it is, and on top of that, even if they wanted to get into it, they couldn't. Now obviously they could rip it off the wall and break into it, but I'm not having people in my house like that in the first place. So the people I bring around my stuff, I don't have to worry about it being stolen. This thing is awesome, and it's affordable. I think they're like $110. Absolutely amazing. It's all made by hand, obviously made in America, and by a veteran. So, you know, do the due diligence, get something awesome like this. They also make other colors, other stuff. Like I said, I make $0 from this, whatever you want to call it, advertisement. I just think it's an awesome product. And for $110, not only do you get a cool wall piece, but you know, your friends are over, you can show them that it can hold stuff. It's actually really nice, so I appreciate them. Now let's get into it. Older firearms. Is there anything wrong with them? Of course not. But nowadays you have a handgun this small, which even imagine it without the whole grip, this is 13+1. Absolutely crazy. Look how skinny this handgun is. 13+1. Yes, I know it's a terrible optic, but this setup right here is $250, $50 rebate, so normally $300, plus $100 and something for that dot, and right here you have like a $400 setup that's sweet and runs. So I just wanted to point that out, how crazy things have come. Absolutely love it. But today we're going to talk about older handguns, so let's get into it. The PX4 Storm subcompact. This actually came out in 2008. The subcompact is the only one without the rotating barrel. I get that's the whole point of these, but at the same time, just the overall shootability of this handgun is what it's for. So without the rotating barrel, it is still an amazing handgun, and that trigger is just beautiful. And it's 13+1. This came out in 2008. And if I wanted to, I would still carry this. Trust it with my life. It is a great, great shooter. Next up, the Glock 26. This is my favorite handgun in the whole entire world, the Gen 3. The Gen 3s were actually made in 1994. Another thing I want to say is it was very hard to track down the actual release dates of these firearms because of import laws and all sorts of stuff. But online, this says 1994, but the Gen 3s were generally released to, you know, the public in 1998. So I'm assuming it was, you know, the Gens 2.5 or whatever the case may be at first. But considering that my main handgun is 25 to 30 years old, and it's still my go-to, and it's still the go-to for a lot of people, that says a lot. The Glock 26 is awesome. Yes, it lacks, you know, optics ready, a rail, stuff like that, but I love the things. Next up, the Glock 27. Came out in 1995, so I'm assuming that's once again Gen 2.5. But the Gen 3s are just great. I love my Glock 27. You can carry it in the woods, especially with some of these double tap rounds or these really hot, spicy rounds. Can work in the woods, self-defense. 40 is still the most versatile round in the world, and on top of that, the most versatile handguns, because you can convert it to 357 SIG and 9mm. So, absolutely love my Glock 27. Next up is a really, really interesting one, the Glock 39. The Glock 39 right here came out in 1999, and the point of 45 GAP, that's Glock Auto Pistol, a round developed by CCI, Speer, and Glock, in order, and the whole point of it was to fit something that had the ballistics of 45 ACP, which it does. It has a little bit better ballistics than 45 ACP. It's actually like 45 ACP plus P. The point of it was to make a shorter version of it so it can fit in smaller frame handguns like this, considering this is the same frame as the Glock 26, 27, 28, and 33, right? So all those frames are the same, and they wanted it for, sounding like Biden, specifically for, law enforcement. That's why they started it. They wanted power and capacity, and if you've ever talked to a law enforcement agent that used this, or an officer that used 45 GAP, they will tell you the round is solid as can be. It's reliable, but also it has that put down power with one shot. So absolutely love it. I've had tons of law enforcement officers comment in the on the channel or on a video down below saying it's an amazing round. It's just not popular, so it is what it is. It clearly never took off. Next up, the Glock 43. This isn't that old, but it did come out in 2015. So, to a lot of people, this is an old, outdated handgun. But the Glock 43, once again, shout out to Daniel Hegg. The Glock 43 is just a great, reliable handgun, single stack, small. If you have one, there's no need to upgrade to, other handguns because it's reliable, fits in the pocket, you can take it wherever and not even know it's on you. So, love the Glock 43, I just don't carry it the most. Next up is going to be my P2000 SK. Now, this one's chambered in 40, and this actually came out in 2001. So, this is relatively old. But you can almost see it in the design and stuff that it's an older handgun, but it is an HK and it is in 40. And that's what they test all their handguns using is 40 Smith & Wesson. And man, does this thing run. It is a great handgun. You can find them in 40 for about $500 nowadays. At least I did when it was on sale at PSA. I love this thing. Is it my main carry? Of course not. Do I carry it? No, I don't. But it's a blast to shoot at the range, and I know if crap ever hit the fan, this will last me the rest of my life. Next up, we got the, let's see here. Next up, we got the Shield. The Shield 40 1.0. This came out in 2012. So not the oldest in the world, but still, the Shields were just the pinnacle of concealed carry. Everyone loved them, and we all know nowadays they have the 30 Super Carry and the Shield Plus. The Shield Plus is the greatest, sorry, not the greatest, but it's one of the greatest concealed carry handguns on the market. And that's amazing considering it came from basically the Shield 1.0, which people absolutely loved. Do I carry this? Yes, I do actually. I love my 40 Performance Center. It shoots so smooth. Plus you get the power of 40, and it's still a very small setup. The ports really do make this such a clean, smooth setup, and I actually have the video of me shooting this up on my channel. Man, does it not recoil at all. It's amazing. Next up from there, sorry, I'm trying to read my list. The XD. Where are we sitting with the XD right now? The XD came out in 2001. Now, obviously, it has another name over in Croatia, but that doesn't matter. This thing was actually my first handgun, and I absolutely love this thing. It's taken a beating. It's over 10K rounds. I think we're sitting at 14,000 with this thing. Not a single hiccup, not a single reliability issue. This thing is just as flawless as can be. Yes, I get it's big, thick, no texturing. Would I carry this today? Yeah, I would, because it's never given me a single problem in any rounds that I fired out of it, and I've probably shot maybe 10, 15 different types of ammo through it. Never a single issue. So would I carry it? Yes, but do I? I do not. Next up, we're going to go XDS. So obviously, when the Shield came out and all these other smaller firearms, everyone had to compete. So they went from that big, thick, heavy XD over to the XDS, which is the slim version. I actually recently just got this. Shout out to my boy Daniel Hegg for finding the firearm store that had it. And I love this thing. It is a tack driver. All my XDSs that I've ever owned have been tack drivers. The round goes where you put it. Go check out my review on this, and you'll see everyone talk about it. The XDSs are some of the most reliable, not only reliable, but on top of that, accurate handguns to ever be produced. I kid you not. And to me, that's what still makes this handgun somewhat reliable. Is it's small, you can pocket carry, but the thing is, it's so accurate for how small it is. A lot of people have trouble shooting the Hellcats and the P365s. Well, this thing is just on point. I can outshoot my Hellcat, my P365, my Shield Plus, my Glock 19, all of them with a simple XDS. So I think that makes it pretty dang amazing. This one's not that old, but I thought I'd throw it in here. The Taurus Spectrum. This thing came out in 2016. This was actually made in one of the first Taurus plants in Miami before everything was produced in Brazil. Sorry, I'm really messing up today. Everything was produced in Brazil before that, and there was tons and tons of issues. They brought their stuff over here into Miami, Florida. That's where this was produced, and now they're out of Bainbridge, Georgia. Not a single hiccup. Sort of a funky looking handgun. Sort of looks futuristic, but sort of looks old at the same time. I really like this thing. It's one of the smoothest pocket pistols I've ever shot. Now, of course, nowadays there's the LCP Max, the Bodyguard 2.0, but still, a nice, fun shooting handgun. I have the shooting review up on my channel. You guys should watch it. It was a great session, a great range trip, and I shot this thing on point. So go check it out, guys. Next up from here, the LCP. The LCP surprisingly came out in 2008. I did not know that it came out in 2008. That's pretty dang amazing. And you still see them on the shelves. You still see them being sold. People still buy them. The only thing is the LCP Max came out, so I believe they may have discontinued them. Not 100% sure. But in 2008, this little tiny pocket pistol came out. Took the world by storm for how small you can make a handgun. Was still a decent amount of capacity for what it was at the time. You know, single stacks were big. Single stacks were like 6, 7, and 8 plus 1 setups. This being 6 plus 1 of 380, being this small and this thin was amazing. So I absolutely love this thing. Love the LCPs, even though I do have the LCP Maxes. And it's sort of taking the place of my actual LCPs, right? Next up, Glock 23. All the Gen 3s came out in 1998, I believe, or at least the main model. So this right here is a 23. I think, though, this is a Gen 2.5. This is in between Gen 2 and Gen 3. It was sort of funky because you can see the finish is a little weird. A little bit different finish. Cool little engraving. I bought this used, actually. That's why I don't know 100%. But on top of that, when you take these grips off, the texturing and stuff is weird on the side. And when I looked it up, that was like Gen 2 texturing. But then you look at the finish, you know, there's all sorts of people who are weighing in on it. I believe it's a Gen 2.5. So super cool. You know, found it for pretty cheap used at the local gun store. Throw on some grips, some new sights because it did have Trigicons, but they're a little old. You know, the Trigicon wasn't that bright. Or the tritium wasn't that bright in the Trigicon, so I swapped it out and then threw a Glock faceplate on there. And some big knockers because 40 Smith & Wesson definitely shoots some big knockers. Next up, Glock 19, also 1998 for this Gen 3 model, right? And I love this thing. I will never part ways with my Gen 3s. I will never part ways with this Glock 19. It's just a shooter. No, it's not optics ready. You know, no to this, no to that. But this thing has definitely gotten its fair share of use. And I love it. Accurate as can be, not a single problem. We're way over 10,000 rounds with it. No issues, no barrel changes, no springs swap outs. This thing has just ran. Not a single problem. Absolutely love it. Sorry, skipped over one. The Airweight 642. This one was very hard to find the actual release date. So I believe for the Airweight models, which is the lighter version, you know, internal hammer, I believe this came out in 1990. Now, obviously, this particular model maybe wasn't, but I bought this used, and it had different grips on it, and the grips were actually in pretty funky condition. I just added these this week, actually, and man, are they awesome. I love them, and they were only, I don't know, $35, $40. They're actually really nice. They feel so good, and to me, they completely change this revolver for me. It's just in 38 special, plus P, not a big deal. Awesome little pocket rocket. Do I carry it? I don't, but some people still like revolvers, so still a good option, right? Next up, and that's the thing about me. You don't see me discriminate against anything. If the firearm goes bang and you're going to bring it with you, that's what it's about. I don't care about release dates. If it's a reliable handgun and you're carrying it, that's what I'm about. I'm about 2A, protecting ourselves, protecting our kids, protecting our families, right? That's what everyday carry is all about. Now, the 29 SF and the 30 SF. Now, obviously, the Gen 3 30 and stuff like that came out earlier in, I believe, 1998. But the SF models, which are these, came out in 2013. And those are the ones with these short, different frames, right? These aren't the ones with the thinner slides. Like there's a Glock 30S that has a thinner slide and stuff like that. These are the SFs that have a smaller frame. So absolutely love them. Glock 29, 10mm, Glock 30 and 45 ACP. Awesome handguns. XS sights. Absolutely love them. Next up, let's go XDS Mod 2. Not the oldest in the world, but the Mod 2 came out 2015, and that ship sank. People just made fun of the grip zone. The grip zone, the grip zone. Where we going? The grip zone. If you've ever seen this channel over here, I make fun of the grip zone all the time, and I always sing a little, little jingle, a little catchy, right? I'm not the greatest singer in the world, but whatever. So I like making fun of it. And in all reality, it's a great handgun, and the grip zone is real. It's great texturing, way better than any Glock texturing, and feels really ergonomic in the hand. They updated a couple things like fiber optic sights, better finish, stuff like that. And it's a great handgun. I actually picked this up used for $275 or $300, whatever it was, about a couple months ago. And it's been reliable for me. There is no wear and tear on it. Just a good, solid, functioning handgun. Now, would I carry this today? I would. But I don't, because I have a lot of other carry options I like better. But if I were to recommend firearms to a friend who's just starting new, I do like the grip safeties. It really teaches you that your firearm is safe, with exception to a couple, and won't go off by itself unless you pull that trigger. And for people getting new into firearms, carrying appendix, this is a great way to go because you have that little backup safety that makes you feel better. But at the same time, it won't cost you any time flipping on a safety or potentially missing that safety when you are in dire need for that handgun. So absolutely love the Mod 2s, and that's actually how I learned to carry. Like I said, my Mod 1 was my very first carry firearm. Okay, next up, the SR9C. I wish Ruger didn't stop making these. I wish they didn't make the Security 380 and didn't make the Security 9, because the SR9 and SR40 series was so much better. This is when Ruger was making great handguns, quality handguns, stuff that wasn't having terrible quality control. This is a beast right here. I love it. I love the finish on it. Unfortunately, they all came with a manual safety, so it is what it is. Nice big trigger guard. And the thing is a shooter. It's a subcompact 10+1. But what was nice is, right out of the box, it came with a 17-round mag with a grip sleeve. A lot of companies don't send out the bigger brothers magazine with the handgun. They always just usually give you the 10-round mags for it, right? So I really like that Ruger did that, and I wish they sort of went back to that, right? So the Ruger SR9C, awesome handgun. Next up, Smith & Wesson M&P 40C. This one was a little hard to find, but this came out in 2004, from my understanding. This was actually a law enforcement backup gun that I bought used. I got it used for $300. And the stainless models were specifically for law enforcement. And this was going to be their backup to the M&P 40s that they had. Even though this was called the Compact, it was their subcompact, and they later on changed the name of it. But I love this thing. It's one of the smoothest shooting 40s out there. What's better than a 40? That's a Smith & Wesson, right? Last but not least, the FNS-9C. This came out in 2012. Once again, this is the subcompact. And what's nice is they sent the larger mag with it. So you got the, I believe it's also a 17-round mag or something like that for it. But I love this thing. It's a tack driver. It doesn't have the best trigger in the world, but it's accurate when it needs to be. Reliable as can be. Nice finish on it. I just like FN. Nice and small for concealed carry. I love this thing. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Sorry if I got some of the dates wrong. They're really hard to find online. Yeah, some of these used handguns, if you pick them up, you might realize how great they still are, and that potentially they're better than some of these newer releases. I know for sure that what you just saw on the table typically is more reliable than what's coming out nowadays. Stuff is just made worse nowadays. It's cheaper, less quality control, companies cutting quarters. This is when handguns were really, really well made. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.